So,
Great. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Great to see you. Good afternoon, members of the MAG Human Services Technical Committee. This meeting is now called to order. It is being recorded and live streamed on YouTube as a way for members of the public to participate. Please state your name when making a comment or asking a question, and I will ask that you keep your microphones on mute when you are not speaking. I would like to welcome two new members of our committee, Amber Wakeman with El Mirage. I've heard some great things about you, Amber. Welcome. And Sean Pierce with Maricopa County. He's an old dear friend of mine, so I'm happy to get to work with him in this setting as well. Thank you both for joining us and welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to be here.
We will now begin the meeting with a roll call of all members.
thank you, Madam Chair. Linda Ayers on behalf of Melanie Dykstra. I see Linda is online, so let the record show that she's present.
Yes, present.
Seth Dyson. Jerry Guajardo. Ileana Godinho.
Present.
Thank you. Susan Hallett. Cindy Savarino on behalf of Mary Lynn Kasanick.
Here.
Thank you. Sean Pierce.
Present.
Thank you. Chris Charlau. Amber Wakeman. Phil Yabes.
Here.
Thank you. And Chair Christina Panatescu.
Here.
Thank you. Madam Chair, you have quorum.
Great. Thank you. Our next item is a call to the audience. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. Members of the public could submit written comments via the MAG website 2 hours prior to the meeting. Kelly, do we have any written comments for this item?
Madam Chair, we do not have any written items for this item or any other items on today's agenda. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next up is the approval of the February 8th, 2024 meeting minutes. Does any member of the committee have any questions regarding this? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
We have a motion from Sean. Is there a second?
Phil Yabes, City of Buckeye. I second.
Thank you. And we have a second. We will now have members take part in the voice vote by turning on their cameras and unmuting their audio. For those who cannot or do not want to turn on their cameras, we will conduct a roll call vote. So members, please do leave your cameras on until after the roll call vote. Can I have a voice vote from the members? Those in favor, say aye.
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 I second it.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. Staff, can you take a roll call vote of any members who did not participate in the voice vote?
Yes, Madam Chair. The only other person I see is Ileana Godinho. Ileana, do we have your vote for the minutes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with a motion and a second, the motion passes. Now, due to scheduling issues today, we have changed the order of the speakers slightly. First joining us today will be Saul Lugo and Diane Wasley. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, from Special Olympics. April is Autism Awareness Month nationally. The theme for 2024 is Celebrate Differences, which promotes acceptance and provides connections to resources and support. Special Olympics of Arizona is one source of such resource for our region. Saul, Senior Coordinator of Athlete Leadership, and Diane, Athlete Leadership Assistant, will discuss programming available to individuals with autism and how this work improves the social determinants of health for all. Welcome, Saul and Diane.
Thank you very much for having us. I am going to kick it over to my colleague, Diane. My name is Saul Lugo. I've been with Special Olympics for about 3 years. and Diane and I run the athlete leadership program together. But I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diane, and I'm a good friend of Kelly's through the Public Health Association. I don't know how many years we've known each other now. And I have started out as an athlete. It's been about 15 years of Special Olympics. I was an athlete, and I did basketball, cheer and dance, track and field, and swimming, and bowling. I even did go to the national bowling tournament. And then I guess I had always wanted a degree, so I made my passion that I want to help other people with disabilities. So I went to NAU and I did my just finished my bachelor's in public health about a year ago now. And I did my internships at Special Olympics, and now I have gotten the opportunity to work for Special Olympics, which is my passion because we are the biggest public health organization for our IDD population, which is an intellectual and developmental disability.
And we'll get a little bit more into that in our next slides.
So autism spectrum disorder is a neurological and developmental disorder that affects how people interact with others, communicate, learn, and behave. Autism is a spectrum disorder because there is a wide variation in the types and severity of the symptoms. Autism can be diagnosed at any age, but symptoms start before 2 years of life. Autism affects the ability to function in school, work, and life. It is a lifetime disorder. A person on the spectrum might have specialized interests and repetitive behaviors. The cause of autism is unknown. And once you have met one person with autism, you have met one person with autism.
One of my favorite quotes, just because they're also special and interesting in their own way. But we're going to go into a little bit of history of Special Olympics. So we were founded in Arizona in March 3rd, 1975, and our mission statement is to provide year-long sports trainings and athletic competitions in a variety of Olympic-type sports for children and adults with intellectual disabilities, giving them continuing opportunities to develop physical fitness, demonstrate courage, experience joy, and participate in sharing gifts, skills, and friendships with their families, other Special Olympic athletes, and the community. We start all competitions by having our athletes repeat their oath, which is "Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt." Participants. So we have over 21,000 athletes, partners, and young athletes. These numbers are a little old, right before COVID, so we're looking to get those updated numbers. But as you can see, volunteers, we have 2,800 registered. We have up to 24,000 that are just day of events, which is approximately about 150,000 hours for volunteers, which is massive. You know, we couldn't do this without volunteers. They are very much the backbone of our events. And then coaches, we have over 1,000 coaches. That includes delegations and chaperones. Our areas are specifically broken up into 6 areas so that our athletes can compete at a local level, and then they could continue to compete until they get to a national level. There are qualifications for all that. However, there are local competitions that we do put on for these 6 different areas. And then they'll move on to state, which we typically host kind of in that Phoenix area.
We serve many different areas. We serve clients that are in adult day programs. We serve schools. We have community-based programs, and we have programs through our city parks and recreation programs.
Lifespan of an athlete. So the youngest that an athlete can come on with us is about 2 years old. At 2 years old, from 2 to 7, they can go into our young athletes. That's where they are kind of just working on fine motor skills, understanding the game, and just socializing. But you move up with age, and there is no limitation to age as far as competing. Once you've hit the adult stage, you can compete until you want to retire, really, until they want to put those cleats up and that jersey up and say, I'm done. And then I'll usually have them join my athlete leadership group because experienced athletes are always the best to explain what we are.
We do run on a lot of volunteers. We have Special Olympics Arizona enlists the help of over 24,000 volunteers to plan, fund, and implement every practice, event, and competition across the state of Arizona.
Different types of volunteers that we have. These can be, Class A volunteers. These are the people that work directly with our athletes. So these can be coaches, chaperones, fundraisers, grant management team, medical, and volunteers can also be our athletes. We do encourage our own athletes to come out and help as kind of a cycle of giving back. So our athletes can also be amazing volunteers.
Okay, so we provide free health screenings to our athletes in a program called Healthy Athletes. The disciplines of Healthy Athletes is health promotion, healthy hearing, fit feet, fun fitness, special smiles, MedFest, opening eyes, and strong mind. And in 2019, we did 2,997 screenings, and we gave over 144 referrals.
Yeah, getting medical access may be difficult for some of our athletes sometimes. So this is a way that we can really help put on these free screenings so that they can participate in sports. And then, as we mentioned earlier, Diane and I run our athlete leadership program. So we do have a state council where we hold meetings kind of just like this. And we have local councils as well that give input on local sports and programming. Our athlete leadership program is built to provide opportunities, education for athletes to continue to develop their personal skills, but also their professional skills. Because who best to represent us than Diane? So our athlete leadership group is an amazing group of volunteers as well. But these athletes are very passionate about helping others. They can specialize in health or global speaking. So we really encourage them to get involved in whichever manner they want to be involved with, because it's also very important to get their input on what they want to be involved with. You know, we have to really walk that walk. It's a we, not a for, because Diane is very capable of doing a lot. I'm not going to do it for her. She can do it. So that is our athlete leadership program.
We have volunteer opportunities for our competitions and events. Their groups can volunteer together. We have unified partners for our community programs. We have coaches and project-based volunteers. If anyone's interested in volunteering, you can contact our volunteer coordinator, Heather, at the email address below. And then, does anyone have any questions? Thank you for listening to our presentation.
That's a great presentation. I know Goodyear's very proud partners with Special Olympics, and we're happy with the growing adaptive rec program that we've got going together over here. Any questions or comments for our guests?
We were just at Goodyear today. We went to study at Goodyear too.
Cool.
We actually did give a kind of a presentation on our Unified Champion schools. So we had got like a youth summit with partners for our unified clubs that don't have disabilities. So we were speaking to them about the importance of inclusion in high schools, unification in high schools, and just, you know, trying to create a better generation.
That's awesome. Great work.
So yeah, Goodyear, great facilities.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you very much, So and Diane. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you
You're
for having
welcome.
us.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I brag about Diane for just a second?
Please.
So Diane is my public health buddy through the Public Health Association. It took her 16 years to graduate with her public health degree, but last May we got to watch her walk across graduation and accept her degree at NAU, and it was such an amazing day. And I am so proud of her to now have this job with Special Olympics and
That's awesome.
to be using her public health degree in this way. It's
Yeah,
really
for sure.
She's a great advocate for adults with developmental disabilities who want to participate, who want to work, who want to have participate in their communities in meaningful ways. And if you ever have the opportunity to get to know Diane, she's just a wealth of resource, and she's a wonderful person. And we feel really lucky to have her in our public health community.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's quite an accomplishment for sure.
Thank you.
She truly is great. I'll be working for her in about a year.
Right on. Thank you both.
Yep.
Our
Thank
next
you very
agenda,
much.
our next agenda item is an update on the housing opportunities in mentorship and education technical assistance program known as Home TA. By way of background, in December 23, MAG was notified that JP Morgan Chase awarded a $500,000 two-year grant to support the Home TA program. Through this program, local and tribal governments will be able to receive customized support from expert consultants to build and preserve housing that is affordable. An update will be provided to the committee on the inventory of technical assistance topics that was developed from the surveys completed by local and tribal governments and other housing stakeholders. I hope you all participated when you received the survey. The solicitation to secure qualified consultants with expertise in the areas reflected in the inventory and the next steps in the project. So input will be invited from committee members. So please listen up and help us to shape these next steps. Sapna, assistant to the MAG Deputy Executive Director, we all know her well, will present on this update. Welcome, Sapna. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Chair Panatescu and members of the committee. It is a pleasure to present our progress on this grant. As you mentioned, this grant is a 2-year grant with the majority of the funding to be deployed for technical assistance based on the preferences and indicated by local government member agencies that are members of MAG. One thing I just wanted to add is that this consulting work and technical assistance will be done through a range of approaches. And as I mentioned, based on preferences by MAG member agencies. So there'll be one-on-one mentorship, small group peer learning, as well as large group training events. And I will get into it when I talk about our survey results. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in terms of the slide, this slide indicates how the committee members and our survey have helped shape this project. And as you mentioned, in February, we received feedback from the committee on the topics and what their perspective was on the needs of their individual jurisdictions in terms of what kind of technical assistance would benefit. And so since we last presented to you, I'd like to share the results of our topic. Next slides, please. So besides the feedback that we received from you, we also conducted a survey that we deployed online, and the survey was distributed to MAG member agencies. It was specifically geared for local government staff. And so one of the findings of this survey, these are the main topics that have percolated. As you can see, we have housing studies and needs assessment, and that's a very important part of understanding what the needs are for preserving and developing local housing that is affordable. So as you can see, the housing needs assessment covers a wide range. So it is an overview and an analysis of the housing stock of the entity, of the government entity, as well as how it compares to the region and how it compares nationally. It's also developing an understanding of what is the rental stock, what is also the housing stock that is owner occupied, what are the price ranges, and where does it fit in the spectrum of affordability, both within the city or town or tribal nation, as well as how it compares to the rest of the region. As we all know, this region is very large and has a very, very wide range of housing, whether it's rental, whether it's owner occupied, whether it's multifamily, as well, and price ranges. So a housing study and a needs assessment would look at all that. Another topic that percolated through the survey was funding mechanisms. And the funding mechanisms cover what type of housing can be developed with what type of funding: private, nonprofit, philanthropic, government. And so there was a very strong interest for that. The survey also indicated that there was great interest in the topic of generating community support. And that ranges from providing information about the type of housing that is needed in a community based on the needs assessment, to what would the community envision as housing in their various neighborhoods. So that is actually a wide range, and it's something that quite a few respondents expressed interest. And one thing that I just want to mention to our survey, out of the responses we got, 85% of the responses were local government, so cities and towns. We had responses from county level government as well. And we also had one response from a federal stakeholder. And so generating community support, as I've mentioned, the next one also that there was a strong response to, and I just want to go back to the questions that we asked. I just want to clarify that respondents could select several categories. We wanted to make sure, and we completely understand how wide-ranging the topic of expanding housing that is affordable is. And so we understand that communities, cities and towns will have more than one interest or even more than 5 interests. So we wanted to make sure that we were capturing the whole spectrum of the topics that communities were interested in. So partnership development, whether it's partnering with a philanthropic entity, partnering with an affordable housing developer, that was another topic of big interest. Model ordinances was also indicated, as was working with developers. The other topic that is not on here, but that's part of funding mechanism, was also that we identified was affordable housing set-aside requirements. What do those mean? How do community work with those? Another one was deploying low income tax credits. So assessing the current capacity of local and tribal government ability to deploy low income tax credits, also providing training on building that capacity. And then one more topic that's come up here with funding mechanism was interfacing with the federal government. So working on how to understand local community needs related to interfacing with the government for affordable housing, what kind of prior interactions will play into current engagement, as well as what are the barriers and opportunities to enhance those interactions. We're pleased to report that the survey results that we have found also were very, very accordant with what the committee members also had given us input on. Can we go to the next slide, please? And so I will go into this timeline in more detail, but I wanted to just indicate that this is a timeline of what we plan to do with this project going forward. So this timeline gives you a 2-year range. And in the next slide, I will go into what we are proposing to do, and we welcome your feedback on for the next few months. So next slide, please. So for the next steps for the month of April and May, we are planning to release a request for proposals to identify qualified consultants. And so this request for proposal and also request for qualifications is based on the finding of the survey in terms of we've developed an inventory of topics that the communities would like to receive technical assistance on. And based on that, we have shaped this RFQ to look for consultants who are able to provide this technical assistance. And so we're going to be in the process of assembling a team to develop an evaluation tool to evaluate the responses we get to this RFQ. Our goal is to issue this RFQ next week. It will be out for responses for a month. And then as we get responses, we would like to bring together an evaluation team to review it. And we welcome participation from members of this committee. They can reach me via Kelly, and also my email address will be in the last slide if they would like to be to participate in this evaluation team. And so after we have assembled a team of consultants, and as I've mentioned, it's going to be a team of consultants, as we understand that not all consultants will be able to deliver the whole range of technical assistance topics that have percolated thanks to the research and engagement. We hope to have a whole team of consultants. Then we plan to have in August a mini conference where the consultants will present the kind of training and technical assistance that they can provide, the format in which they can provide with, and they will do that to our member agencies. And we plan to hold this mini conference in MAG. Currently, the date that's been scheduled is August 13th. So please mark your calendars, and we will be following up with the committee on reserving that date. And so this will be an all-day mini conference held here at MAG with breakout rooms where member agencies and their staff will be able to meet the different consultants, whether they want one-on-one or presentations, to kind of get a feel for the kind of expertise they're offering and which format they're offering and see what the best fit would be. So our goal then is to do the match, basically match up between the consultants and our member agencies. And then finally, we'll create a report on the kind of tools that are available. But then, this is after August, after May and August. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So we'll develop this menu of technical assistance. And then the next step, though, then will be to invite our member agency staff to then submit their request for technical assistance. So that'll be the second step. The first step is the RFP and RFQ to invite consultants to submit. And the next step, we'll do a match. And the next step will be to understand and identify and accept requests for technical assistance from MAG member agencies. And so we'll be working on that as well. And we look forward to reporting that to you. We plan to do this. We plan to have a separate evaluation team to select the applicants in terms of what type of technical assistance they will receive. Regarding our survey results, we had a fairly even distribution for one-on-one mentorship, group learning experience, webinars, as well as interactive online virtual training. And so we look forward to developing a whole menu of technical assistance that reflects this format, this format that agencies have indicated they would like to participate in. And so our goal is to develop this menu with one-on-one, as I mentioned, mentorship, as well as virtual group learning, as well as one-on-one training that is conducted virtually. And then ultimately, our goal is to have a whole range menu and spectrum of training, and then allow the participants to learn from each other. So we also plan to organize training opportunities where the different cities and towns can come and learn from each other. And so we're really excited about providing this type of training, and we plan to work on this between now and September. And now if we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Madam Chair and members of the committee, this concludes my presentation. My boss, Amy St. Peter, and I remain available for questions as well as for your feedback. We're looking forward to deploying this grant, and we're excited about the progress we have made and what we have learned about the preferences for both of the topics of technical assistance, as well as the format that it's going to be delivered. We'll be finalizing the request for proposal, request for qualification sometime the end of this week. And as I mentioned earlier, it will be out, it will be disseminated to stakeholders starting next week and will be out available for responses for an entire month. We're excited to reporting back the next steps to you.
Thank you, Sapna. It is an exciting opportunity. Did you mention construction cost analysis? Is that one of the topics that will be?
So we did not have construction cost analysis in our survey question. However, we are still assembling feedback. And if that is a topic of interest, then we can consider adding that in. But
That is something I know Goodyear is interested in.
Wonderful. Okay, it's duly noted.
Thank you. Anybody else? Comments, questions, clarifications? No? Great. All right. Well, good job. And we're looking forward to seeing these next steps come down. I'm going to put a hold on my calendar for that mini orientation.
Yes,
That's
thank
cool.
you very much. Mini orientation on August 13th at BAG. More
Got it.
details coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and now we're moving on to an update on the Regional Heat Relief Network. The Heat Relief Network is a regional partnership of MAG municipalities, nonprofit organizations, the faith-based community, and businesses. Each year, MAG coordinates the mapping of the network for partners who provide hydration stations, refuge locations, and water donation sites throughout the valley, with the goal of preventing heat-related illness and deaths among vulnerable populations. Cleo Warner from MAG and Dr. Jessica Bell from Maricopa County will provide a brief background on the Regional Heat Relief Network, as well as updates for the upcoming 2024 heat season. Welcome, Cleo and Dr. Bell. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having us and for providing the opportunity to present on the Regional Heat Relief Network efforts. There are a number of efforts underway to protect people from the summer heat this year. Maricopa County has been extremely active in this space. So today, as mentioned, it'll be myself as well as Dr. Jessica Bell to discuss the significant commitment that they have made to prevent heat-related deaths for this upcoming year. And the purpose of this presentation is going to share some background and data on the Heat Relief Network, and then offer you all some updates on these emerging roles and best practices that can help save lives. So next slide, please. All right, so this is not a new thing. Back in July of 2005, MAG formed the Regional Heat Relief Network in response to record numbers of heat-related deaths in the region. The then Continuum of Care Chair Greg Stanton convened stakeholders with the resolve to establish a strong regional response to the heat. This really started as a completely crisis-oriented effort. So agencies and volunteers were opening their doors to people needing to escape the heat. MAG's role in the network then and continues to be the mapping out of the heat relief sites and helping raise awareness of the network and the resources that are available. Then the Maricopa County Department of Public Health started heat death surveillance or monitoring of this type of data back in 2006. They worked very closely with the Heat Relief Network in order to do so. This data collection has since become the national model for public health heat surveillance. And then over the years, we've had a bunch of other partners increase their work in this space, including that nonprofit space or clinics or faith communities and city resources. And all of that has grown pretty significantly since 2005. A couple examples of that to note, the City of Phoenix creating the Office of Heat Response and Mitigation in 2021, and then Maricopa County recently hiring a heat relief program coordinator to become a lead in this work. So next slide, please. Each year we have this interactive map available, and this map displays 4 designated heat relief sites. This is the mapping from last year that you're seeing on the screen. Our application process to accept the sites for 2024 actually opened today. So this is a very timely presentation. The new map is going to be available May 1st, and we update it throughout the summer to reflect the most accurate information we have on where those heat relief sites and resources are. Each year, we work pretty hard to expand the number of sites and the hours of the sites, as well as being more strategic about where sites are needed and what type of services are needed. Dr. Bell is going to speak more about this a little bit later, but as an example, we know that many sites are run through volunteer operations and then they're not open overnight. And we know that we have fewer sites open on Sundays. So these are some examples of areas where we know we really need to push for innovation and progress and improvement for the coming years. And I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Bell to talk more about the county's extensive efforts and collaborations, as well as the data that they collect.
Thank you so much, Cleo, and thank you again for the opportunity to present today. If you could go to the next slide, please. We really know that heat affects everyone, but some of our populations are disproportionately at risk. And about half of all of our heat-related deaths are among those who are experiencing homelessness. And in fact, people experiencing homelessness are 500 times more likely to die from a heat-related cause. And in 2023, 645 Maricopa County residents died due to heat-related causes. And this is a 52% jump from the already record-breaking 2022. And it's a 500% more than what we saw just 10 years ago. Next slide, please. We can also intuitively see that heat-related deaths increase as the temperature rises. And July 2023 was especially hot, with the National Weather Service issuing an excessive heat warning every single day from July 1st through July 29th. And as a result of this really hot month, there were 404 heat-related deaths just in the month of July, and that accounted for more than 60% of all of our heat-related deaths in 2023. Next slide, please. We also see that the majority of people who die from the heat are over the age of 50. And this includes people experiencing homelessness, as well as those that are housed, and particularly those that are living in manufactured homes. Next slide, please. As the numbers of people dying from the heat continue to increase, we really have an opportunity to shift from a volunteer decentralized emergency response to a strategic infrastructure that's driven by data. And so we need more resources to build this new infrastructure. And that includes better data regarding what strategies are working, centralized and coordinated decision-making, ancillary services like transportation and call center support, and formal agreements and funding to staff the sites that have that are strategically located based on risk and need. And so this is sort of what this graph is, this image is showing. We see our outdoor homeless heat deaths and some of the outreach that is happening. And then those green circles are where our 2023 cooling centers and respite centers were located. So really working to try and identify those spaces where we may have gaps so that we can strategically locate those centers. And so there are immediate needs to prepare for this summer's heat, and then also the longer term need to build out our sustainable infrastructure. So as Cleo mentioned, we did hire a heat relief program coordinator that started at the end of January. We're very happy to have Francisco on board. But we've also identified one-time funding to increase heat relief for 2024. And that funding will go towards supporting Solari and the 211 call line to support and operate a bilingual call center that can assist people in finding heat relief and resources. Our finances also support transportation to and from these cooling center locations, as well as supporting expanded hours for cooling and respite centers through the county. And so we're really focused on expanding past some of those typical business hours. So expanding out until 7 p.m. on the weekdays, and then also adding some of those extra weekend days, because we know the heat does not stop on the weekend. And so we're really looking at how can we expand into Saturday and Sunday to provide additional cooling relief. And we're also working on evaluating the first overnight cooling centers in partnership with the City of Phoenix. Next slide, please. So did we skip a slide there? Can we go back one, please? Oh, maybe not. Sorry. So Maricopa County, MAG, the City of Phoenix, and Arizona, as Cleo mentioned, we're really the leaders in addressing heat. And so what we can do here could be shared as a best practice around the state, around the nation and beyond. And so we really need our community and our partners to consider how they can assist in building that infrastructure that we need to save more lives. And so the opportunities to take action are really helping us to share information about the Heat Relief Network and what the city's locations are with the public and those that we serve, to promote the use of that 211 line to find free heat relief locations, free water, and more, including transportation to and from those sites. And if able, to open new heat relief centers or extend the hours and days that those existing sites are already open, and to make sure to register on MAG's Heat Relief Network so those are visible to the public. And then finally, support communities and agencies to conduct those wellness checks with homebound older adults, and really as individuals and as community members to check on our neighbors, check on our friends and family, make sure that their air conditioners are operational and that they are actually turned on and keeping those spaces cool. And with that, again, thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you today. I think there's one more slide.
Yes. So thank you, Jessica, for all of that incredible information. And thanks everyone again for having us share this as our summer approaches. I believe we are hitting above 90 today. So it's on my mind. I'm sure it's on everyone's mind too. But we could take any questions or comments at this time.
Thank you. Can we get that link to register places? And
You
I
absolutely
see
can.
Seth has a question.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation, Dr. Bell. I was wondering if those of us in cities could get a breakdown of heat-related deaths per city. And I guess for me in particular, we have a service area. We serve Surprise, El Mirage, Sun City West, Waddell, Whitman, so kind of a Northwest area. I'd like to bring that forward to some of our groups so they are aware. I think the data that you presented is shocking. I think we've read about some of that in the newspapers, but I'd like to bring that forward to people to show them maybe the sense of urgency that we need to have to create more safe space. So if you can do it by city, that'd be wonderful, or even just at minimum share the dot map that you just shared. So thank you.
I agree that dot map is a valuable tool, and anything that can make it more jurisdiction specific for committee members to use, not necessarily the general public, would be great.
Yes, I can share with you. There is a full report that came out that's covers all of the data that I covered today and then some. And then we also have the our epidemiologists do data requests to help support specific information that might be needed, and I can find that link and provide that so that you have the opportunity to do that. And I don't want to speak, I'm not sure, I think there was some work going on in regards to looking at some of the cities more in depth with MAG, but that is not my purview, as that would be our epidemiology team, so I can find out some more information about that as well.
That'd be good to know. Any other questions?
Madam Chair, if I could add a comment.
Yes.
First, I would just like to really thank Maricopa County Department of Public Health, because they have taken an incredible leadership role in heat relief since 2006, but especially in the last year when we saw such a dramatic increase in deaths. And I think one of the things that's really important for all of us to hear during this conversation is that about 50% of those 645 people who died were inside. And so they either didn't have a functioning air conditioning, or their they weren't running their air conditioning for some reason, probably economic, if we're to guess, make a guess there.
Right.
So how can we do a better job of reaching organizations that work with older adults in our communities, whether that's Area Agency on Aging, Meals on Wheels, our interfaith community, whatever that looks like? How can we make sure to get the word out so those organizations, including our mobile home communities, know where the closest heat relief site is and how people can access transportation if they don't have regular transportation, so they can get inside during the heat of the day? I think we could really see a dramatic decrease in the number of those vulnerable deaths this summer if we do a good job of trying to get that word out to our community.
Yeah, that transportation link is an important part. Thank you for mentioning it. Are there any criteria to register as a heat relief site or a hydration spot?
Yes, so we do have a couple criteria that were more firmly established this year. That this was a really intentional community-wide effort to create an expectations and standards form for each of the 4 sites. The county and MAG partnered on running a work group to collect that information and see what was both feasible and needed for our community. That can be accessed on the MAG website when you go to the heat relief icon. I sent a link over to Kelly. I don't know if I have access to a chat here. I'll look. No, I don't have access to a chat. So Kelly will forward over the direct link, but it'll send you right to our expectations and standards form, which really lays out what is needed to be on the map. Primarily, it's things like you're a stationary site. We don't have the capability to map mobile sites at this time. That you have the ability to staff a heat relief location and that there are staff present, and that you are able to offer reliable AC and hydration if that's the type of site you are running. So items like that are fully listed out on that expectations form that sites complete prior to receiving the full application form.
Do they have to be open so many hours a day or so many days a week?
So it's really just like a consistency in being open. We don't really display pop-up sites that are open at more random hours. There has to be some sort of weekly cadence to how often the site is open.
So you mean if they're only going to be open on days when it's over 90 from 1 to 5 p.m., then that won't be listed. But if they're open every day from 1 to 5 p.m. or Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 5 p.m., then they can be listed.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And then also, we've heard from our faith community that, there are some significant offers for donations of water, but the delivery of it and like transporting it and also storage was a concern. As I recall, this was addressed a little last year. Is that still happening? And can you refresh our memories?
Sure. So on the map, there will be collection and donation sites. That's one of the sites a location can sign up to be, and that signals that you have the ability to collect and store supplies and goods for the heat relief network. Leading up to that, for coordination on supplies, you can reach out to MAG as well as Jessica, and we've been sort of putting our heads together to figure out what that looks like. It remains sort of a challenge in the heat relief network of how the supply chain is coordinated. So that continues to be something we work on.
I think part of the challenge for some of the people who are interested in providing the service that we're aware of is that pallet is too much volume for them to have on hand at one time, particularly a small business. But if they could get it a water delivery or in a smaller quantity and maybe more frequent interval or something, that might remove a barrier for them. Just sharing the information.
Yeah, that's definitely good information for us to have. Thank you.
Anybody else have any experience or feedback or?
I will also add one other criteria for our Heat Relief Network partners is you can't be a private home. So small business is fine, public location is fine, etc. But occasionally we have very well-intentioned folks who want to open up their home as a heat relief site, and those are not allowed.
No. Great, thank you. All right. Well, I guess that exhausted that topic. Thanks for all my questions. And I hope the answers were helpful to everyone else as well. Moving on, now is a time when members have an opportunity to share updates on current events, challenges, and opportunities from your respective city or organization. Is there anyone who has anything they'd like to share an announcement about? Linda, or
in for Melanie.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share something exciting that the Gilbert Police and Fire are doing this weekend on Saturday, April 13th to 9 to 1 is a sensory awareness family event of public safety day. So they're going to have opportunities for the participants to get on ride-alongs in fire trucks, experiencing a simulated police traffic stop, and getting up and close at police and fire gear. They have a lot of partners on this as well, with as far as the Arizona Department of Public Safety and Banner and Phoenix Children's and Dignity. So it's kind of exciting for them to have that sensory awareness family event this weekend for our community in Gilbert. So.
And timely announce. I'm sure it's on purpose, but that's fantastic.
Thanks. That's all I have.
All right, come on. Somebody else has something cool like that they're doing.
Madam Chair, this is Seth. We're having a surprise area homeless collaborative roundtable meeting on Tuesday. If anyone is in this area and would like to talk about that, we gather all of our nonprofits, some faith community members, and just anyone with a stake in helping prevent or respond to homelessness. So we do this every quarter. All of you are friends and are welcome to come if you'd like to attend next Tuesday, 9 o'clock at Surprise City Hall.
Thank you, Seth. That's great. You do good work.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
This is Sean from Maricopa County. Just wanted to let you all know, very excited to announce that we have the formation of a new division that actually takes two functions and puts them under one division. I don't like the word division because it always sounds like you're dividing things when really what you're trying to do is take down silos. So if we're dividing silos, I'm happy for it. But this new group of dedicated individuals who are very intentional in their approach is called the Community Resilience Division. And that includes our Homelessness Initiatives Division and our Community Services Division. So a lot of those connection points between the two areas can become stronger from that collaboration. In addition to that, under one director or one assistant director, TJ Reed, there will be more focus on a lot of those collaborative pieces that we are doing with our partners in the community. So very excited about the opportunities that will provide, not just to us, but obviously to most importantly to our clients through our partnerships. So appreciate the time.
And how's the empowerment programming going?
we're revisiting that because there are some framework things that we want to map out more holistically, as well as, I believe, to be honest, as we work with clients, there's a lot of those barriers that folks have when you're trying to engage in that transformational conversation, you'll run up against. And so we're really trying to support staff to be more readily available to address those things with clients. So that's what's taken us a little bit of time just to get that next step going, but we're still focused on it, still looking for that launch. So
Well, it's a grand vision, and I certainly wish you all the luck and support you in your efforts to achieve it. However I can help, let me know.
thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Anybody else?
I can provide an update, Ileana Godinho at Valley of the Sun United Way. So we usually, as you know, as a funder, we usually have a large process where we do open up opportunities for different organizations and schools to apply. What we did notice, though, a few years ago was that we were needing to support smaller organizations and grassroots agencies in a different way because they were not being competitive or receiving any funding through this process. So we are looking to open up a new process in the next couple of months. So we'll be putting out some information on that. They are smaller grants, but really, again, just focus on supporting smaller grassroots organizations within Maricopa County. And then on another end, we are working to convene a bit more around housing and homelessness to see how we can continue to support some of the gaps and services around that area. We continue to hear, a lot of folks are moving away from emergency shelter. And, is that the way to go, or are there other priorities that we should be looking at as a United Way to support in the next fiscal year? So more to come once we have more details on that I can share with you.
Thank you. What does United Way consider to be a smaller grant?
For me, I oversee our grants process. So a smaller grant is a $5,000 grant for us.
Wonderful. Thank you for that detail. That's great. If we can help get the word out to those smaller organizations, let us know. I know the City of Goodyear's community funding program is open now through the 30th, and most of our applicants tend to be those smaller nonprofits, and $5,000 would go a long way for them. So we'd be happy to email blast out to the people who subscribe to get our announcement when your announcement opens, if that's helpful.
Yeah, that would be super helpful. I can definitely share that with Kelly once that's ready to go.
That'd be great. All right. Well, if there are no other announcements, are there any requests for future agenda items? I would like to hear about weatherization programs now that we're talking about an emergency utility for AC that can turn it around faster than maybe some of the more traditional requests coming into the summer, or what are people doing to help expedite application processing, if people are open to sharing that. Anything else?
Madam Chair, I just ask if there's anything at the Human Services Committee level. I know we're the technical committee, if they're hearing anything, or if they're talking about things specifically, maybe we can hear too what they're, if they're getting excited about one or two different topics, maybe we have those presented to us or shared also. Just thought I'd throw that out.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, we have tried strategically with the leadership of Madam Chair to start the conversation here and then have it go to the policy committee so that the topics are always linked. and that your elected officials are not surprised in what comes forward in the policy committee and coming back to you and asking questions that you're not aware of. It doesn't always work out that way, but that is our intent.
To that point, if you are getting feedback from them on something that comes up, just in case we're not tuned in and it's not trickling down, it'd be great to get kind of closed loop feedback on how things go when they make it up the chain. That could be useful.
If so desired, we could also have a joint meeting, or we could bring you all together and you could talk about human service priorities for the next year, or whatever your top priority is, and try to find some themes from that as well. I know that the current chair of the Human Services Community Initiatives Committee is Chair Joel Navarro with Tempe, and his priorities are affordable housing, homelessness, and opioids, including the vaping of opioids. And so we have tried to find speakers related to those topics that start here again in the technical committee and then go on to the policy committee.
Well, can we add that, Kelly, to the agendas going forward, those 3 priorities?
Sure.
Any questions, finds, leads, tips, experiences relating to any of those 3 priorities? That would be helpful in keeping us all focused too.
Happy to do so, Madam Chair.
Thanks.
That actually makes our work much easier.
Yeah. We'll bring it to you.
It's great.
All right. Well, thank you for that suggestion, Seth, and thank you for your work, Kelly. Appreciate you. And thank you all for attending today. Our next meeting is going to be on Thursday, June 13th at 2 o'clock.